Hello, everybody. This is Vivian Xavier, and thank you for joining us for another edition of GIFF Talks 2021. We have Sultan Ghani Afzal with us. Currently, he has its production company called Tallman Films. Before that, he was, working with Stimulus as a CEO. But overall, he's a producer, executive producer, director, so a filmmaker, just all in all. And thank you so much, Sultan, for taking out the time to talk to us and
Please,
enlightening
please.
us.
Thank you so much for having me, for giving me this chance.
You're welcome. So I'm gonna just jump into it. My first question is about your journey from print to TV and motion pictures. So what prompted that, all the way back when you decided to take that leap, from from static images to moving images? What was that all about, and why did you feel the need to do that?
Okay, so basically, it all started with the need of moving towards narrative storytelling. So I studied advertising, and then I was working for an advertising agency. So when you work at an advertising agency, you're not only involved in print ad making, but also
Mm,
into the into the motion side of the advertisement as well. So I used to work at an advertising agency in the planning and strategy department. From there, I moved towards to working in a TV channel, the CNBC Pakistan channel, which is also known as NBC internationally. So I was there. I was working as a marketing strategy manager because my main interest has always been strategizing, curating, creating, coming up with something new. So obviously, at the beginning of your career, so I was not very young, but yes, it was the beginning of my career. So I was just trying to see what's happening in different parts of the industry. So I moved to a channel and I stayed there about for like 10 months. After that, Stimulus happened. So I joined Stimulus Productions as an assistant producer, which was only a TV commercial production company. It was an independent production house for making TV ads. So I joined as an assistant producer. I stayed there for about 10 years and I signed off as chief executive officer. My last assignment over there was as a CEO. During Okay, so why I gave 10 years to Stimulus is if you're loving what you're doing, you don't want to count, how many days or how many years or how many hours you work on it. Uh, there was a lot of international exposure. There was a lot of local exposure with different directors, international directors, Pakistani directors. So it was quite an interesting ride. So, but yeah, that there comes a time when you have to respond to this inner calling, which, as I said, that I always wanted to be a storyteller, but I took the long way. So I thought that I'd go into advertising, and people are going to make ads over there. So I'm going to make different ads. I'm going to assist different directors. I'm going to learn something, and eventually, become into a storyteller. Because I used to write. I'm not a writer, but I just try to scribble thoughts as they come to my mind. That's what I used to do. Sorry. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know. In 2020, October was when Tallman Films was formed. I guess, yeah, September 17. We are 1 year old. So as we speak,
oh,
we are one
wow.
year and 3 days old. Yeah. So yeah, so this happened, and from now it's a new journey, it's a new ride. So the quest to tell stories was always there. I enjoy telling stories through advertising as well. And now, with the recent project that I've done in terms of storytelling, is a set of 5 films. It's an anthology that I've done as a producer, as a story writer. So I'm the executive producer for these 5 short films, or short features rather, I would say, and I'm also the story producer for these, and I've also directed one of these. So that sort of satisfaction level is also there. So yeah, so basically the quest for storytelling was always there. Uh, I think it took a while for me to reach to the desired destination.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the journey was a very joyous one, though. You know, because you sort of learned so much on that journey as well.
Yeah, it was. It was saying that it was joyous would be an understatement. It was awesome. I enjoyed every moment. I mean, I can only remember the good times. Yes, there are ups and downs and everything, but yeah, as far as the results are nice. So, see, this advertising, I would say, especially advertising, and people say that it's a thankless profession. But as far as you're happy that you're making something nice and you're giving your soul to the right thing, so I think that what keeps everyone motivated in doing so. And same goes with the storytelling as well. You know, you. I think anybody should choose a story they want to tell, and not the one that the people want to listen, because a real story is the one that you want to tell.
Hmm. The one that you
That's what I.
know.
That one the one that you know. Yeah.
Uh, so my next question is about your start at Stimulus, and like you said, you came on board as an assistant producer, and then you ended up becoming the CEO. So how was that journey? And I mean, I know you said it's an awesome one, but what was your learning curve in that, from being an assistant producer to the CEO, and what changed for you, or what didn't change?
Okay, what didn't change for me was the sincerity to the craft. That should not change. What changed for me, I'd say it added on more professionalism, because see, being a producer is not just about putting things together and just arranging them for the shoot. Sometimes you have to think beyond the director as well. Sometimes you have to be the captain of the ship as a producer, because you got to make that thing possible for the entire team, because at independent production houses, especially like Stimulus, uh, even the director is outsourced, right? So you hire the director as well. So basically, you have hired everyone. So you got to make sure that everybody buys into the budget, the vision, and everything. And then you got to have this certain vision that would make your production different from any other production, the product basically. Yeah, so it was a very interesting journey. There has to be no, like, nothing is impossible should be your motto. If it can be done, we can do it. So out of experience, once you do and redo, that's when you come to that point of perfection. Nobody's perfect, but somewhat sort of professionally perfect. So you just don't have to give up. You have to give in your soul to the right sort of craft. It's just like being a doctor. You have to save a life, or you have to cure someone, and every patient is a new case. You just cannot be relaxed. You cannot get into a formula. The moment you make it a formula, your craft dies.
Jumping off from that, that answer, what is your process for producing? Because again, you're saying that there is no formula, so obviously the process changes. So but what is your process that, when you're approaching TV commercials, how is it producing a TV commercial in Pakistan, and what's the process, for someone who's got such extensive experience?
Okay, so the process is very simple. See, uh, there's certain steps that come into life, or they come into consideration or into act when you have to produce a TV commercial. So first of all, you get a story, I would say, or a concept from the client or the agency, right? So see, the client is not a producer, the agency is not a producer, right? So they're not the filmmakers; they're just the thinkers. So you gotta take the debrief, and you have to convince them, and you have to basically marry with the agency and their idea. Because, for example, sometimes they would think that there's this guy sitting on the street and it's heavy rain, right? Okay, why does this sort of thing is significant, that the rain has to be heavy, or can it be after rain, or can it not be after rain? Because a lot of times, I'm just using rain as a metaphor. We show the rain sequences in a lot of films and commercials and music videos as well. But just out of as using it as a metaphor, maybe the creative, a lot of times they write something which is logistically not possible in terms of managing it or bringing, because TVCs are of a certain duration, right? So you got to tell a story in 30 seconds. They don't fall in 30 seconds, right? Sometimes the scripts are written which are lengthier than the desired duration. So this the first step is to get everything even. So yeah, the agencies are obviously the client. They have experience to make ads and everything, so they get convinced easily, or they understand what the producer, or they should understand what the producer is saying. So once it's understood, then you have to pick the right director, the right team basically to tell that story. For example, if it's a ad based out of comedy, so who can pull out the right sort of timing, in terms of the director who's good with comical timing, the actors who are good with comical timing. Okay, then what sort of set would it be, like, the lifestyle? Because okay, yes, there's creativity, but you also have to make a way into the consumer's mind for that product when making the TV commercial. So it's basically getting the right team on board, and getting the right team on board is can only come after experience and repeated experience and experience. It is not like, it cannot be a personal choice. In Pakistan, the industry is quite open about giving a job to a certain director or a certain team. The clients now understand it was not a producer's market back then, it's now a producer's market. Initially the market was director driven for TV commercials, now it's producers driven. A lot of producers don't, a lot of directors don't even have their offices. They're working like from remote or work from home, or whatever is easy for them, and it's nice, it works for them. There's no harm in it. But yeah, the main task is to get the agency aligned with the, sorry, yeah, get the agency aligned to what they have thought. For example, there's been a lot of times I've gotten concepts, but they don't, I can see they don't work for the brand, and that's where my advertising experience comes in. um, and if you talk sense, people do agree.
Hmm. Okay, so that's like the main sort of
Yeah,
learning curve. Okay.
see, the most important thing is putting the right team, knowing the people and their skill set, and then taking them on board for a certain project. It's just like
So,
how you procure anybody for a feature, for a short film.
hmm, yeah, you got to match the right team with the project.
Yes, yes. See, if be it a 30 minutes film, be it a 30-second film, be it a 3-hour film, if you don't have the right team, if the vision of the story is not translated well and not distributed amongst the right people, it will never come together finally.
So in this case, would it be right to say that communication is something that is very important? And is that, in your experience, is that a mainstay in Pakistani advertising and film? Is that something that's given a lot of importance, or like the right communication to the right people? Is that
I would
is
say
that given
yes,
the right
definitely.
importance?
In any creative industry, right communication to the right people does matter. But I'm talking about picking up the right resources for any production.
Hmm,
Your question started that what is the process like,
hmm,
right? So the process is you get a story from the client for an ABC brand, right? That we want to make an ad, it's a 1 minute ad, it's a comedy ad, and it's a love story or an action or whatever, right? So you have to know who to take on board, and how to plug the right resources, the right sort of There are a lot of directors who are very good in telling the story, but they're not good in judging the cast. You know, then at times we want good actors for our commercials, but we also want good looking people for our commercials. So how do you find the right mix? At times the written story demands a lot from the character, whereas the actor selected does not have that sort of potential to perform that way, right? So then you alter a few things. So basically it's I always take it as craftsmanship. So yes, communication definitely, because this business is advertising communication, right? But getting the right resources and putting them together, and having a uniformity of your vision communicated to everybody is very important. Be the music, be
So,
the
Sultan, yeah, something that we spoke about many years ago was about, and you've stated this about your love for narrative and how you wanted to move into narrative, and thus Tall Man Films was born. How has that journey been? How was it making that decision? Obviously, because you're doing something for 10 years, you've given your soul to that company, and in a good way, um, but how was it making that decision to venture out? Obviously it must have been scary, or it must have been frightening, but it's been 1 year now for Tall Man Films. You've done projects. What has that learning curve been for you?
see. Okay, so a lot of your audience would be students, would be people a lot younger to me as well. For the people older to me, or the people of my age, would understand, I guess, right? But the ones who are younger, so when you grow, it's like, they say, right? Growing up sucks, right? It's a famous sort of a proverb or idiom or whatever. So when you grow up, you find out, these things that we hear in stories and films, that the inner calling, the inner calling, the inner child. So, as you know, I mean, the first time we met, when even before I started advertising, I had this thing for storytelling. As you mentioning, many years ago when we met. So I had this thing for storytelling, and it was bothering me because I was just doing ads and ads and ads. I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is giving me, this is paying my bills. It's giving me whatever I am today. The experience and exposure and everything. But what about that guy, who a few years ago was talking to a friend and telling him about the love for narrative? I'm answerable to that guy too, right?
Mm.
So I think it was a moment, I mean, I cannot glorify it. Being a storyteller, also, I cannot. I mean, it'll be a lie if I say that, I saw a light in the sky and I jumped off the cliff, and it was it was thought provoking. I used to think, okay, what do I do? What do I do? So I had a few sort of, plans that, bare minimum I can do this, to run my house and all, and other than that, okay, I'll focus more on the storytelling. In this case, for example, I know how to make ads, right? Thankfully. But so I know, like, I'll make an ad or two, in 2 months. It'll keep me running. I'll keep writing stories. So I knew I had to take a hit on my financials. The way I used to spend, or the way I used to earn, I'm not earning that way. So life's not going to be fancy now. Because when you're a CEO at some place, your salary is coming, your things are taken care of, whether the project is being profitable, non-profit. It's like, being employed has its own perks, and being employed at a place that you have actually nurtured has its own sort of perks. But my storytelling instinct was getting compromised. I realized it. I realized it very late, but I think I realized it at the right time. Things have their time. Everything is time. Like, everything comes with time, right? So that was the basis, and that's when I decided that I gotta, jump off. It was a tough decision, obviously, financially. uh, new company, what's going to happen, am I going to get work, am I not going to get work, because my intention was not like that, I would just make another company and take all the business from a stimulus. So I don't do
Hmm.
that. It doesn't work for anybody. It'll never work for anybody. So being a smart ass doesn't work. Being a wise ass works. So you should be true to yourself. So I was true that okay, I'm getting into this thing. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be give me a tough time. How much money have I got to run my kitchen for 6 months, 8 months? Okay, what assets do I have if I have to sell that I don't need? I went to that extreme. Anybody should. Anybody should. Even I mean, like for example, if you want to be Jahangir Khan, the squash player, you gotta work out like him at least, and that's tough. And that's tough.
You got to put in that effort and that perseverance.
Exactly, exactly. So you just cannot look at the glory. I mean, all the filmmakers who've been out there, all the sportsmen, all the actors, all the politicians, uh, nothing comes easy. So you
True.
should be ready for anything. You should be ready and up for any challenge.
So one of my last questions, Sultan, is when I look to you, when I, something that I associate with you is the art of the deal, and being able to make those deals, and getting sponsorship, and so what
Okay.
is your what is your um, what is your secret sauce, or what is your way of getting those deals and those sponsorships, and like, without giving away too much, but how do you approach it, and what is the main, like, if you had to tell someone that, okay, this is the main thing that you need to be able uh to make those deals, what has worked for you, what, for someone who's getting into producing, all of that, what would be your advice?
Okay. So the first. Okay. So this is very 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 technical advice. Okay. It's 10, like almost 10:30 p.m. in Karachi. I'm tired, so I'm just trying to be relaxing. I want to smoke, but I don't know whether I can smoke on line
you
in this
you,
session or
you can
not.
go ahead, you can go ahead.
Okay, though I'm sitting in my office. Okay, so I would request all the everybody or anybody who's listening to this, don't take it as a okay. Try to understand the core. So when I walk into a boardroom, I assume I'm not getting this business. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a very optimistic person. But I assume that, okay, fine. What if I don't get this? Nothing's going to change, right? So, what can I do? I can be true. So, I try to be true to people. So, sometimes the Seth Saab doesn't like it, if you be a lot of, but sometimes they do. So, even if they don't like it, just I don't try to offend them. I just try to be true. And that's one motive. Don't offend people because you're asking them for their money. Why are you being
Mm.
smart?
You have to be wise.
You have to be wise. For example, there's some chap who makes a cigarette, right? And he hires you to make a $200,000 commercial for a cigarette. That's like 5% of the amount of business he does, or 5% of the scope of business that he does. Don't teach him his business. Teach him advertising or storytelling for what you're called. That's the simplest thing. Go to a meeting, assume the guy will not give you business, but make sure that the guy is going to fall in love with me. Whether he or she gives me the business or not, but this guy is going to remember me. You should try for it. I just try for it. Rest happens from the sources. So I am a religiously inclined chap. So I do believe, I believe in luck, destiny, whatever you can say. But then there's also sense of purpose and heart, and then like your hardworking uh, intention and your hardworking personality as well. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's what I do. Because honestly, Vivian, nobody has asked me this question before. I did not have an
Okay.
answer for that. And
I
I
think you gave
just,
a perfect answer.
yeah, and I was just thinking, okay, he's asking, so maybe I should be on TED, while saying this, but I don't care about
Soon,
TED or
soon,
anything.
inshallah.
I don't care about TED or anything because if anybody can benefit from it, to the youngsters, whenever you go to get a business, just don't try to act smart because the guy sitting there who's giving you the money, he's done his circle, dude.
Hmm.
You've just became fancy. He's been fancy for many years. So yeah, simple. Eh? Yes, you should not compromise on ethics, egos. Egos are bad. Ethics, you don't have to compromise. There's certain rules which apply to certain people. Some people want to do content that is abusive. Some people don't want to do content that is abusive. That's a person choice. So just be humble, be nice, and that'll get you places.
Be an authentic human being.
Yeah,
Perfect. Perfect.
I
Uh,
hope it
that no,
answers
that
you.
that yeah, that's. I think that's it. I honestly, I don't know what I was looking for, but that answer I think is perfect because I think as storytellers and creators, I think it's our responsibility to be authentic human
Yes.
beings
Yeah.
because what we put out in the world is going to be watched by people
Yeah, and
and
it
they're going to take
impacts
something from
people.
that.
Exactly.
So as you know, we can't. This is what we do to change the world. This is a very small bit. There are people who are doing lots of other stuff, more important stuff. But as storytellers, we can do our part as well. So that's I think that's perfect.
We have to change perception. I mean, imagine, for example, right now, this Noor, we are 27 minutes down, but I'll just quickly say this because this matters. This whole Noor Mukaddam case in Pakistan, when this young poor girl got slaughtered by this monster, you must have heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's certain these kind of cases that we see around the world. So, because this is a Pakistani originated sort of a platform, so I think a lot of viewers can relate to it. It's our fault. We make content that encourages and normalizes these people. In every other TV soap, TV series being run on Pakistan, there's no disclaimer, no nothing. Women are being beaten up. It's being, I don't know. I mean, you're putting it out. It's just shit. There's no, there's so we as storytellers, we have this responsibility on what are we communicating.
Mm, true.
So yeah, I mean, just be true. Just be true. There's no
Uh,
guarantee you get the business or not, but you
mm,
know, just be true.
cool. Well, on that note, Sultan, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you had to take some time out, and it is late in Pakistan. But thank you again for
No, that's
taking. It
totally
was
fine. I hope it serves the purpose that you invited me for. So I hope it's good for someone.
the see the again. I'm a true believer that people who are going to take something out of it will, if they want to take something out of it, they will. We can only try, like you said.
We're going to try.
We can only try to put that message out there, and then people will take what they want. So hopefully all the people will take the right messages that we put out there, and hopefully it'll help them. But thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
out
you
and
so much.
talking to
You're
me. It's
welcome.
been a
It's
very
a
long time.
It's been a very long time, and then especially now with this whole pandemic and everything, I hope things get better. We can travel safer, faster, sooner, and
Definitely.
meet.
Yeah, definitely meet in person, and I'm sure we have way more stories to tell that we can't cover in 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you
They
once
will be.
again. I wish you,
Okay, buddy. No, no,
I,
it's a
I wish
pleasure.
you and Tallman Films the best of luck, and hopefully, fingers crossed. From short films, I'll see a feature film coming from Tallman
Oh, yes. Keeping my fingers crossed for the cinemas to open
soon. But
soon.
thank you once again, and take care.
You're welcome. Take care, buddy. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.